This is February 8th at 3:38. I'm Andrew Yoder and I'm out here on a hike in the mountains of Western Maryland. I'm currently here at point A, headed to point B up there, and gonna do a little talking along the way about the process of going from point A to point B, something that I think every single person who pulls up this video can relate to. As human beings, we're constantly going about that process, getting from where we are to where we want to go, whether that's the small daily things of getting from home to work, or the bigger things of looking at how do I get from a certain place or situation I am in life to another place. So I'm going to talk a bit about that process and give you something to take away that's helpful for you in your life. And so one of the struggles I've seen as a personal trainer, as a health coach, and as a life coach is getting a clear picture of where it is we want to go. And to do that, we've got to ask some questions that sometimes as human beings we're a little scared to answer. Questions like, where do I want to be a year from now, in my career, or in my relationships with people, or in my journey in finding meaning and significance in the world. Or if we get really big, we can, fast forward all the way to that legacy question, what is the legacy that I, as a human being who spent some time on this earth, want to leave behind? And that can be a difficult question to answer and takes some time and some contemplation, which I am obviously going to encourage people to take. I think we often go through life so fast that we rarely take the time and create the space to stop and ask some questions that, if we got the answers to, could really bring a lot of clarity and a lot of focus and a lot of purpose to the lives that we're living. So jumping again back to that process, we all do it every day in small things, but now talking a little bit more about the bigger picture. I'm about to try to cross a stream, so we're gonna hope me and the camera don't end up in the water. Hey, there we go. Point A to point B, we're good. Carry on. Yeah, so framing up what point B looks like can be quite a challenge, and can take some thought that we typically don't have space or time for. And also, for some people, clarifying exactly where we are, point A, is also a little tricky. Sometimes people who come into coaching, they're frustrated about life, or they're feeling stuck in life, or stuck in a particular area of life, whether that's their physical health or their career, family life, all of those different areas. And they're not quite entirely sure how to describe their stuckness or how to describe point A, but that can be another struggle. So we want to get a clear picture of what point A and what point B is, and then we want to map out the process. And each of us brings our own strengths and our own weaknesses to this whole process of getting from A to B. Some of us who are possibilities thinkers or explorers, who like to turn over every rock and run down every side trail that we can find, we struggle with staying on task or focused. And I'm one of those folks. My point B can quickly switch from one to the other, and so my struggle can be staying on track. For other people who tend to be more harmony seekers, or you could say people pleasers. And I don't mean people pleasers in a negative sense, but in the sense that they're always, looking out for how other people feel. They can sometimes lose sight and track of what it is that actually is important to them personally. And the coaching process can be really refreshing in that it helps them tap back into, what are their dreams, what are their goals that they have inside. And for other people, that process is a little clearer. They're more authentic with how they feel inside and what their goals are, and so it's a little bit clearer. But each of us brings through our personality our own set of strengths and struggles to this process of going from A to B. And another thing that I think, well, let me just pause there and say, as you reflect on yourself and what you know about yourself, what would you see as the strengths that you have in going from point A to point B? It may be you're one of those folks that really looks at effectiveness or accuracy, and you want to make sure that the steps that are taken are going to be founded on really accurate facts and time-tested, truths and wisdom. Or you might be one of those people who are more concerned with, speed, like how quickly can I get from point A to point B, maybe without delving into all the research behind it that somebody else may do. So, question to consider for yourself is what are those things that you bring, strengths and weaknesses, and be aware of the weaknesses and how you can grow in those areas, and how the strengths can help. In addition to that, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset and the ways that impacts each of us. We all bring our own icebergs, we could call them, to situations. And by iceberg, I'm talking about when we look at an iceberg, we typically see a small portion of what's actually below the surface. And each of us carries a limited awareness of what's actually going on in our mind about a situation, or how we're thinking about this process of moving from point A to B. And building awareness around those mindsets can be really, really revealing for folks in this process. And that's where my skills as a life coach come in. Skills like asking powerful questions. Also, in addition to that, I mentioned it earlier, but there's something about just making the space and the time to ask these kind of questions, stepping out of the crazy fast-paced thing that is called life, and saying, hey, where I am and where I'm going is important, and I want to look into this deeper. So there's space that's there. There's powerful questions. There's me helping you hear yourself through reflection, kind of like holding up the mirror for you to see where you're at, and consider what you hear yourself saying. And in addition to that, helping you to kind of summarize, and clarify what's been a point of frustration or confusion for you. And that's where for those of you who like specific steps and not so much like the abstract ideas or thoughts out there, when talking mindsets, and some of you might be like, just give me a to-do list, let me check some things off. That's where the specific steps emerge as you work through that process. You can actually end up going into a coaching session feeling very confused, about a certain area and coming out with clarity and some action steps on how to move forward. And for those of you who are curious just about the coaching process in general and want some more specifics on how that works, if you were to be a part of a session, what you will experience is that you are, as the client, you are considered to be in charge of the show. The direction the coaching goes, your agenda is what's set up to be focused on. Coaching is non-directive, so there's not directions coming from the coach. This isn't, if you envision angry coach on a football field or a basketball court yelling at people, that's not the picture. The coaching process is better described by, if you think of way back in the day with the good old Westerns. If you watched any Westerns, I'm sure you've seen a stagecoach which got people from point A to point B. Or if you're not a Westerns fan and you're in the city, you see the coaches in the city, you know, on the buses taking people from point A to point B. So this whole process of coaching is really the stagecoach. It's the bus. I mean, some people even call, you know, airplanes coaches. This whole process of coaching gets people from point A to point B. And again, it requires several things. So jumping back into the specifics here, it requires, on the part of the client, being able to come to the call with a goal in mind, with an agenda, even if that agenda is to make sense of the confusion they're experiencing or pinpointing the frustration points in their life. You know, that can be an agenda. And once the agenda for the call is established, the coach and client dive into exploration and into envisioning what success would look like. And then out of that process comes the action steps. As clarity comes, the steps come. Just like for me, you know, my plan was to go from, it's gonna be hard to see, it's all blacked out down there. It's gonna be from going there on that other point up to here. Once I was clear on those, the steps forward were pretty obvious. So it's kind of like the action steps just come tumbling out towards the end of the session, which is a beautiful process to be a part of. And then obviously there's a look at obstacles, taking a look at obstacles that you may be facing that would disrupt that agenda and those action steps, and making sure you've got the support systems and the accountability in place that you need to move forward. And just an awareness of, you know, strengths and weaknesses in your own personality and how you can apply those to getting from A to B. So I hope that was helpful for you. Again, my name is Andrew Yoder. I'm a personal trainer, a health coach, and a life coach. You can check out my website at lionheartedcoaching.com. That's www.lionheartedcoaching.com. And yes, the Lionhearted is all one word. There's a lot of different ways to spell that, but it's all one word, Lionhearted Coaching. And we look forward to hearing from you. And I enjoy people's stories. I'm in the 31st. I'm older than what was coming out of my mouth. I'm in the 31st chapter of my life, and I'm excited about this chapter and excited about the future. And I would love to hear what chapter you're in and what you're hoping to see develop in your life in this coming year. If you think this process of coaching could be helpful for you, feel free to connect with me through the website or send me an email at ayoder@lionheartedcoaching.com, and we can set up a free inquiry call And what we can do there is just see if the coaching process is a good fit for you, and see if we would be a good fit as coaching client, and then we can move from there. And again, for a little clarity for those who may be wondering, I'm not a professional when it comes to every area of life. What I am a professional at is the process of getting from point A to point B. So whether you're coming, as a business person, whether you're coming as a parent, whether you're coming as somebody who wants to improve their health, whatever your point A to B is, I can help you get there based on my understanding of the process and training in the skills necessary to do so. Hey, this might be the longest video I have ever posted, but tell you what, when you're out here in this, talking about something you love and enjoy, it's an easy video to create. So yeah, I wish you the best, and hope to hear from you. Would love to be able to serve you in some way. God bless, and hope to hear from you soon.